Hey YouTube, Kayak DIY here from kayakdiy.com, and right now you are looking at the Hobie Pro Angler 14 that we showed in one of our previous videos, and this is just an update to kind of give you a little bit of an idea of the customizations and things that you can expect from Kayak DIY. So without further ado, we'll kind of go over some of the updates and things that we did to this kayak, and we'll start from the front. So we got a blue Nerf, and that's just so that when we load it in the back of the truck, it actually doesn't scrape up the handle. We have a gaff right here that we made, and then a net. We like to keep the net on the deck because it's easy to reach, and yeah, I mean, that's just personal choice. It is a larger net. You can get the folding nets, but I don't like to mess around sometimes with folding out the net, so I like to keep a larger net on the deck. We got our rods, and you will see that they have floats on them. That's just in case they go overboard. They will float then. Never had an issue with these getting in the way of the line, but if they did, I can easily just cut the zip tie and I don't have to worry about it. Looking over here, we do have the rod with an eyelet on it, so I can simply pull this out and clip on to the eyelet, and that secures it in place. We do have the Mighty mounts on the Scotty 241. So these are the Mighty mounts. This is the Scotty 241, and this is the Rodmaster 2 Scotty rod holder. And this is a gear track. These are the 16-inch versions. I show how to install all this stuff on one of my previous videos. I got 2 ammo boxes. They have an O-ring seal around them, so they are water resistant or waterproof. I usually consider some of these items to be more water resistant. I wouldn't do submersion tests with them, but they should work well for what I'm going to use them for, which is holding some of my odd stuff like my keys, maybe my phone inside there with another waterproof case. I do have an extra battery, an extra little 9 amp hour battery in here. Inside the hull, I keep my battery box. It's not secured down right now. Normally I would have it secured to one of the scupper mounts, but I'll take it out here. I show how to build one of these in one of my videos. It just has an on-off switch and an SAE connection, and inside there is a 9 amp hour battery. And then I have wires that would run through my hull into the back. Well, I guess don't want to skip things here. I got the kayak tower that I showed how to build in one of my other videos. And the kayak tower has magnetic mounts, so my telescoping camera pole just comes right off of there when I need it, but it stays on when I don't need it. And I can telescope this up and actually record with it in telescoping mode. I got solar lighting, as you can see here, and when I don't want the solar lighting, I can actually use these as fishing rod holders. So I can pop these out and drop fishing rods in here so I can troll and keep my lines out of the way of everything else. Just a nice option to have. I got a hydration pack here, kind of like a camel pack, and I like having that strapped to the pole, and then I can just open it up, drink from it whenever I need. Sometimes I'll put an ice pack in there with it just to keep the water cool. I got an extra spare paddle down here. This is actually for the inflatable boats. So I got this really cheap at Walmart. I think it was like $6, but it was longer, and I just cut it down to size. just because I wanted to carry a spare paddle, but I didn't want to have something long and ridiculous because I really don't need it. Right here is an example of a kind of like squid connector. It's called an SAE multi-adapter, and so this connects to my battery, and then it allows me to power a bunch of different items using these connections. This here is my Livewell. It's very plain right now. I haven't done a whole lot of stuff to it yet. I don't have all the connections on it right now just because I wanted it to be able to sit flat. I built this to replicate the Hobie Livewell. So I have the pump actually inside, and then I have a drain tube, so I can change that pipe out to accommodate whatever size or water level I want. And on the bottom of this Livewell, I can just flip it over here. On the bottom of the Livewell, I have the same connection that Hobie uses. So I built this to be pretty much the same. So I could simply quick disconnect and connect my scupper water intake. And if we go and flip this back over, underneath the little lip here, you can see LED lighting. So I can actually illuminate this whole ring, and it looks kind of cool at night. Going to the back here, I ended up putting a mighty mount on, and in one of my videos you'll actually see me putting this same mighty mount on, and I do have a backing plate on it, and I show a technique for how you can install the mighty mount with a backing plate in a hard to reach area. So I wasn't able to reach through the hatch to get to the mighty mount area to be able to put the backing plate on, and I show a technique on how you can install the backing plate without being able to reach it. So right now I got my GoPro camera in an elevated position so that you can get a top view when I'm fishing. This is with a homemade camera pole that you'll see how I made in one of my other videos. You just simply check it out. In this video I'm just kind of showing you all the things I built for this kayak, but I'm not going to get in great detail. I got my anchor here, and on anchors it's very nice if you put a zip tie through that area and run your line through there and actually tie up to the front. That way if your anchor snags on something and you can't break loose, you can break the zip tie and lift it up this way, and that will fold your prongs in. I have a dog leash made by Flexi. This is a corded one. I think it holds around 20 some feet of line, so not a ridiculous amount of line, but what I do like about it is it's very smooth. This was meant for bigger dogs, so it does have a pretty good pound rating. I think it holds, like, it's meant for at least 50-pound dogs, so that's plenty for this little anchor. If I don't want to use the Flexi dog leash, I actually built another one here. One of my friends showed me how to build this. He's had his for about close to 3 years now, and so this is just a clothesline reel, and I have paracord in here. So it comes with a white poly line, and what you do is you pull out the line, and then you don't want to cut the line and let it reel back in because you'll never get it apart and fixed again. But you cut the line after you sew the paracord into the line, and then I just put heat shrink tubing. So right there you can kind of see there's just heat shrink tubing over here, and it's sewn with fishing line underneath. But anyway, I can mount this to the kayak tower if I wanted to. And that kind of sums up everything that's on the kayak that you see here. We'll go to some of the accessories that I have. So I built another live well. I show how to do this in one of my videos, and it utilizes a 5-gallon bucket. I got a bucket lid organizer on top, and then that just opens up, and I got a spray head that is adjustable. I got all my tackle in the top. I got various items in the side, including radio and just a little keychain knife. And here is the pump. This is the same pump that Hobie uses in their live well, and it's the same pump I used inside there. I'll have a link probably in the video description below on where you can get the pump kits for these, because they are very, very nice pumps. And what's nice is if they fail like years and years down the road, you can actually replace just the top unit. So this top piece is a cartridge, and you can just replace that. And it's very cheap. It's like 10 to 13 bucks to replace the cartridge top. Now for my GoPro, if I want better battery life, I showed how to build one of these. This is a battery elimination system. So it keeps the whole entire GoPro watertight and waterproof, so I can still put it underwater, but it allows me to power the GoPro from a USB connection. Here is another item I built. This is a light for the back stern. So if I don't have the GoPro right here, I could actually replace it with one of these, which is my stern light. And this just has a toilet bolt right there, a toilet bolt that becomes the T-track mount. So I slide it in there and I turn the pipe, and it tightens up that connection. If I don't want to have this on the back there, I can also pop off one of these caps. These caps here I didn't secure on, they're not glued, so I can pop it off and just drop this right in. Now moving on to some of the other items here. I did build a sail. You probably were wondering that when you were looking at it. The sail here, I will unravel it here so you can kind of get a look at it. So there's that connection. It's just a grommet. I replicated the same shape and look and dimensions of the Hobie sail, but I made this out of ripstop nylon. So ripstop nylon is like a sportwear nylon material that you can get at like a Joann's fabric. I do have a small dowel, really lightweight wooden dowel right here that just kind of gives it a little bit of form and shape. And then the entire mast is actually made out of a garden stake. So this garden stake is available at Home Depot. There is a metal core inside it, but it is incredibly lightweight. And I did have to do a lot of sewing. I actually got help from my aunt. God bless her soul, she put up with me, and she helped me sew this. So there's a pocket right here that the mast fits into, and then the rest is just single layer and sewing on the edges to prevent fraying or tearing. So there's kind of a look at it. Also got a fishing light. So this fishing light here glows in a green color, and what it does is it attracts microbes and minnows, and then consequently it attracts larger fish. And those work really well. In fact, you can actually buy them from some retailers, but they're really expensive. Here's another anchor option. So if you're in areas with mangroves or so, you can just clamp on and just have this quick handy setup here. This actually was for a tree stand. I found this at Walmart in the clearance section for $1. And so this was for a tree stand to lift up items, I think. Once you climb up, it allows you to lift up items. So that's what that is. And then that's just something in the tool section. It's a grip. For future videos, you're going to probably see me do some on trolling motors. I'll probably show you a couple different mounts that you can do with your trolling motor that work on a bunch of different kayaks, not just pro anglers. But eventually, this trolling motor is going to become a flush mount drive system. And I'll show you my kind of thoughts on that. I know some other people have done it, but I kind of have my own thoughts on how to go about doing it. And I'll show you how to do that as well. Here's my Mirage drive, and here is an extra seat. So the back of the Hobie Pro Angler 14 has a lot of space, and I've had people just stand on it while I'm pedaling. You'll see in the video where I'm bow fishing and where we're at a dam. My brother is standing on the back, I'm on the front, and we're both standing and fishing. That can get a little tiring for the person on the back, so I do have a seat here. Sometimes I could put that on like a cooler, because I usually always want to have a cooler, but I'll have a cooler on the back and I'll have a mount on the cooler top that fixes to the seat. So that's one option. Another option is possibly, I've been looking into this, I've been looking into a way that I can have this skipper seat here fit on the back like that. This actually has a lot of buoyancy in the back, surprisingly. I've been able to have my brother stand on the back here, and it hasn't dipped down or sank at all in the back. So this might be a comfortable seated position if we were to add a second seat. And in order to do that, I've kind of tossed around a few ideas. I just thought about maybe making a bracket that utilizes the handle and comes forward and then secures via this eyelet to prevent it from flipping back. Just have a couple ideas on brainstorming on how to do that. I did have one where the seat dropped into the scupper mounts here and it faced the other way, but I'm actually changing that a little bit. It worked for a while, but it wasn't still the most comfortable ride. I think this is going to be a lot better ride for the passenger. So that's a look at my Hobie Pro Angler here at Kayak DIY from kayakdiy.com. And hopefully you liked this video, hopefully it gave you some ideas. And that's just what this whole entire channel is about. And if you haven't already, take a look at our Facebook page at facebook.com/kayakdiy. And then we also have a Facebook group, a community of kayakers, nearly 6,000 members right now. And that is at facebook.com/groups/kayakdiy. So hopefully you enjoyed this, and thanks for watching.